What a whirlwind of a week politically. We'll start with the Democratic primary shakeup and Dallas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's entrance into the U.S. Senate race. While that may not have been a total surprise, it sure did produce some surprises. State Representative James Talarico of Austin is also running, but former Dallas Congressman Colin Allred decided to drop out at the last minute, hours before Crockett made it official and before the state's deadline for candidates to file their paperwork. Crockett launched her campaign before hundreds of supporters Monday in South Dallas. And during her speech, she explained why she jumped into the race and had a clear message to those who doubt her ability to win the primary and general election.
But the more I saw the poll results, I couldn't ignore the trends, which were clear, both as it relates to the primary as well as the general election. I could have played it safe and continued serving in the United States House of Representatives for as long as my constituents would have me. But I don't choose to do that. Because Texas, this moment we're in now, is life or death. It's all or nothing. It's now or never. Now, there are those that say, ain't no way, we done tried it 50 kinds of ways. Let me be clear, y'all ain't never tried it the JC way. We used to telling us what I can't do, but they have no idea what Crockett's crew will do. And so I just want to be clear, for all the haters in the back, listen up real loud. We gonna get this thing done.
Crockett spoke with reporters after her speech, and I asked her about her polling, and she was vague. What exactly did your polling say about your path to victory for both the primary and the general?
I will tell you that I was beating a specific candidate without even being in the race. I won't say which one. I'm guessing y'all will try to extrapolate. And I was only 1 point down from the other candidate. People respect strength. They respect people who are authentic, as everybody who's a pundit sits around and tries to figure out, how can somebody vote for Mondami and vote for Trump? How can somebody vote for AOC and vote for Trump? How can somebody vote for Obama and vote for Trump? Let me tell you something, because people are looking for real people. They are tired of these politicians that are being told what to say, when to say, and how to say it.
Also during her speech, Crockett went after President Trump and incumbent Senator John Cornyn.
He used to speak out against Trump, the candidate, and denounce the border wall. What happened, Big John? Because now all you're doing is bending the knee, kissing the ring, and running ads about how you vote 99% of the time with Trump. Well, John, I kept telling you, you had a 1% problem. I'm the only one who has gone toe-to-toe with Donald Trump, and there's a reason he's always got my name in his mouth.
And she also spoke briefly about her priorities.
Well, I'm done with politics as usual. I'm done with going along to get along, and it gets us nowhere. I'm done watching rural hospitals and public schools close their doors. I'm done watching parents be afraid to send their kids to school or the mall or the movies because Republicans have flooded our streets with guns. I'm done with the senators sitting around doing nothing while Trump takes your hard-earned money, skims your Social Security, slashes Medicare, and gives tax breaks to billionaires. I'm done.
A new poll on the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate released Friday by Texas Southern University shows Crockett leading Talarico 51 to 43%. Either Crockett or Talarico will face the winner of the GOP primary, incumbent Senator John Cornyn, or Attorney General Ken Paxton, or Houston Congressman Wesley Hunt. Here's how this primary stands as of December 4th, according to Decision Desk HQ. Their polling average shows Paxton leads with 32%, Cornyn has 27%, and Hunt at 23%. While Democrats welcome Crockett to the Senate race, so did Republicans, but for a very different reason.
Jasmine Crockett is the gift that keeps on giving. She will turn out the Republican vote at a higher level than any Democrat who's ever run for office in the history of Texas. Every Republican will come out of wherever they are next November to vote against Jasmine Crockett.
As we said, there were a number of political dominoes that fell for Democrats as Congresswoman Crockett announced her run for Senate. When Colin Allred dropped out of the Senate race, he joined Congresswoman Julie Johnson in the Democratic primary for the newly drawn 33rd Congressional District, which will only now be in Dallas County. She succeeded Allred in office after he ran against Senator Ted Cruz last year. 2 other Democrats are vying for this Democrat majority seat. We asked Allred why he chose this race and why he decided against running for U.S. Senate.
It was a difficult one. We put a lot into this Senate race. And also there were a lot of folks that I met along the way who put their faith in me and their trust in me and told me their personal stories within a minute of meeting me. And I felt that that came with a certain level of responsibility to do what I thought was not only best for the state but for them. And I thought that a bruising primary and runoff was not in their interest, but that I could serve in another way in this newly drawn district that did not exist until the Supreme Court just recently basically said that these maps were going to stand, and that allows me to represent my home and to go back to Congress with a focus on tackling corruption and costs and what I think are the threats to the Constitution by this president in a way that was what I wanted to do in the Senate, but now I can do it going back to Congress.
It's been reported that Congresswoman Crockett asked you to drop out of the race. Did that have anything to do with your decision?
Well, I spoke with Jasmine, and we had a professional conversation, but that really wasn't my determining factor. What I really did want to do, though, was to think about what I thought was best for the state.
You're going to be in a primary for the 33rd Congressional District. Is that going to be a bruising fight against Congresswoman Julie Johnson, who also wants to stay in Congress?
Well, I think this is part of the result of Donald Trump and the Supreme Court successfully gerrymandering our state and forcing some of these races. But what I will do in this election is running here in my home. I think I've served Dallas. I think folks of Dallas know me, and I want to show them what I can do to represent us in Congress and how I can be a strong leader from day one. I think we need to have our best players on the field in a moment like this.
We also spoke with Congressman Johnson about Allred's entrance into this primary.
Well, I'm not surprised. He was dead last in the polling out of the field in that race. So he was looking for a spot to try to run again. But, I'm focused on my own campaign. We've worked really hard for the constituents in North Texas, really offering positive solutions going forward. I have a lot of bills that I've offered in the Congress to make life more affordable for North Texans, and I'm hoping to get the chance to see those through.
How concerned are you that this could turn into a pretty brutal fight, a primary fight?
Well, I've had hard races. None of my races have been easy. When I first ran for the 115, flipped that seat, the first Democrat to hold it in 40 years. And then when I was running for Congress, I had a 10-way primary that I won outright and beat my next closest opponent by almost 30 points. So, hard races is not a stranger to me. We campaign hard. We're going to work hard for every single vote, and we're going to win this primary.
And this, for Democrats, has been a game of political musical chairs.
Yes, it has. Redistricting is brutal. It's hard. It's one of the worst things that can happen. And Republicans played their hand. It's time for Democrats to respond. I hate that it happened. I fought really hard to keep it from happening, but here we are. And so we have to look at what makes the best sense and where the people want us to represent. And like I said, I have heard from so many people in the 33rd area that want me to run there, that asked me to run there, that have given me their support and are continuing to stand with them. My phone has been blowing up all day with people saying, stay in the fight, we need you, we want you, we're with you, we're 100% on board, because they know that I am a fighter and that I'm also somebody who can actually get stuff done. I can work in a bipartisan way to actually deliver results, which is what we need.
Crockett's seat in the 30th Congressional District is now open, but will remain a Democratic seat. Her pastor, Frederick Haynes III of the Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, is running, along with former State Representative Barbara Caraway and Rodney LaBruce. Another political domino fell when Congressman Mark Vesey of Fort Worth decided against running for re-election to Congress under the new 2025 map upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. He's running for Tarrant County Judge against Tarrant County Commissioner Elisa Simmons in the Democratic primary. The winner will go up against the winner of the Republican primary, either incumbent Tim O'Hare or Robert Bucher. The chairman of the Texas Democratic Party, Kendall Scudder, discussed the shakeup and the falling dominoes with me, along with an achievement his party reached for the first time in 51 years.
Primaries are the sign of a healthy party. If we didn't have a party that was competitive in Texas, you wouldn't have primaries up and down the ballot. And so, to me, I think that it is something that's probably going to end up being par for the course for the Democrats as we get more and more competitive in Texas. It's an embarrassment of riches. We just have a lot of really great talent that's lining up to serve their communities.
But the fact that it happened at the last minute like that, how does that impact the party?
Yeah, I mean, that is sort of by design. Trump's Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court that ruled he was above the law, and the same panel of partisan political hacks that allowed these illegal maps to move forward, they held out their rulings as long as they could in order to make things complicated and difficult for people to scramble at the last minute. Luckily, as Democrats, we all communicate with each other to the best of our ability and do our best to make sure that we're building a team that can win in November. And so, for the first time since 1974, Democrats are going to have a candidate in every single state and federal seat on the ballot. And so, even though Republicans were trying dirty tricks and they were trying to load the dices in the courts, Democrats still prevailed.
How significant is that?
I mean, I think it's very significant. I mean, what it means is that if you are a Republican in Texas, you don't get a free pass. You have to fight us for it. And I think that's really important because a lot of these politicians get way too comfortable in their seats. They think that they can just cruise without anybody holding them accountable for their actions. And they don't get to do that this year.